Hey everyone, just doing a quick tutorial here on doing delays in C++. So very simple, kind of like what you'd want to do. I mean, if you had kind of a blueprint actor, I just delete this anyway, but pretty common. You'll have begin play, and you'll have delay or retriggerable delay. You want to wait a certain number of seconds, and then do something. Or kind of create a loop or whatever else, but delays are really handy, and I just want to kind of quickly how they're set up in C++. So we're just going to use our delegate example that I used for the previous tutorial on the begin, overlap, and hit. So we're just going to need a couple of different things for to set the delays up. They're called timers in C++. It uses the timer manager. So what we need first of all is a timer handle. So FTimerHandle is the type, assuming it's a struct since it has the F or something similar. So we're just going to call this, let's make it a loop, and let's call this like a loop handle. Loop timer handle, just something to let us know what it is. Then we're just going to come across, actually no, the other thing we need is a similar deal to the event dispatches here. Essentially the timer waits for a certain amount of time and then calls a function. So what we're going to do is just create another function. So I'm going to say void on timer end. We're just not going to take any parameters or anything. That's really simple. We'll just fire off an event. And we'll set this up over here. So similar to how you have to bind to binding to the overlap events, we have to pass a function pointer. Very similar deal here when you set a timer. So what we're going to do is, let's just say on begin play, go into, so here we go, GetWorld, and that's implemented on actor. You can kind of get the world that the actor's in. GetTimerManager, and this is the class that manages all of your timers. And IntelliSense has been a bit slow, but this will kind of show us the various things that TimerManager can do. So what we're going to do is SetTimer. And now we need some parameters, so here is where we need our handle. So this is how you can have multiple timers running at once. Everyone has a unique handle, so we need that, this, the object that's running it, and now we need the function pointer. So what it wants is that. Without the brackets actually. So it just wants a reference to this. So that function pointer. Then this is where we actually set the time. So let's just make it 5 seconds. And then just a false on the end. I think that's whether or not it delays kind of the instant it starts or whether it waits until the next tick, but I've never really noticed much of a difference. So I'm pretty sure that's set up correctly. We'll find out in a second, but what we essentially are saying is get the world, get the timer manager, set a new timer with this handle, and set it for 5 seconds. After 5 seconds, trigger this function. So this should call, so just so that we can actually see that, let's make it just print out a message. Up. So we'll just shut this and relaunch it. So we'll see if that's actually compile first. Yep. So now, if we drop our delegate example in the world, it should, on begin play, wait 5 seconds, and then run that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Timer is up. So that's worked well. That's kind of exactly what you'd expect the behavior from the delay. And if you wanted to make kind of a loop or anything, you just obviously recall the same thing within that. So if you actually just copy paste this within that function, and just say this tick, or another 5 seconds, or something like that. You can essentially just recall that function from itself. And that's kind of a really simple loop behavior. So I didn't actually test this before, but just wait another 5 seconds. I set the messages to show every 5 seconds, so I think that's actually clearing the messages at the exact speed that it's putting them back on screen. Just let me make these messages stick around for basically forever. And that way they should actually pile up on the screen. So there's the first one, second one, etc., etc. So that's kind of a loop setup, and that's using delays as timers in C++. A little more work, so you have to set up a whole extra function, and the function pointers are always kind of ugly, but you can do some other cool stuff with timers that you can't do with delays. So for example, you can actually query at any point how much time is left. So similar deal here, it's this GetWorld GetTimerManager. You can, if and when IntelliSense ever catches up, that'll actually give you a list of the various bits and pieces you can do. So I'll wait here for a second, see if it actually wants to bring up the list. But with a delay, you can basically just set the timer. But within the timer manager, you can, here we are, so clear all timers for all objects, blah blah blah. But the cool stuff is, get timer remaining or get timer elapsed. So you can actually say, hey, at this point in time, how far through this timer are we? Which is something you can't do with delays, so that's pretty cool. And you can pause it, unpause it. So you have a bit finer control with the timer manager than you do with the blueprint delays. And it's a handy tool. So that's all for the timer, and I hope that was helpful. As usual, we'll put the kind of copy-pastable code in the description.